Welcome back. This is day 2, how to earn your first, your next, or maybe you're working on your 40th million in real estate. And what we're doing is we're sharing with you how to make $1 million in real estate, but in addition to that, multi-millions of dollars in real estate, but also really sprinkling in some, hopefully some mind-expanding ways that you can, once you're earning a lot of net profit in your real estate business, then make that profit create other, income sources that will then make it so that you're rich, and rich is merely where your money works for you and you no longer have to work for your money. So today is part 2, and we're picking up where we left off yesterday, and we're on point number 6. By the way, if you want our notes from any of our podcasts, you have to subscribe to our free newsletter. It's called harrisrealestatedaily.com, harrisrealestatedaily.com. Like I said, is where all of our notes from all of our previous podcasts are waiting for you, including today's show. You can use these notes and all of our notes. A lot of you are using them for social media posting and things like that. Maybe you have a real estate team, a brokerage yourself, and you're looking for some content to use in your next presentation. Well, it is awaiting for you over on harrisrealestatedaily.com. You can also scroll down below and click the link to subscribe in the show description from today's podcast, or if you're over on YouTube or Spotify or any of the other places all of you listen or watch us.
All right, point number 6. Remember, yesterday was part 1, points 1 through 5. So point number 6, define what makes you unique. Can you answer the question, what makes you different? Why should I hire you? What are your USPs? USPs are unique sales propositions. Sellers ask for reduced commissions because they don't know how else to compensate and to compare agents. To compare agents. And buyers ask for agent kickbacks for the same reason. They ask you for that because they're trying to level the playing field.
Now, if your unique selling proposition is you're going to kick back to the buyer or you're going to reduce your commission, that's not really a scalable business idea because you're not going to make any profit. Now, that I would say that point number 6 is perhaps the most important point, aside from in addition to the one about pre-qualifying that we made yesterday, because that's the number one reason, not knowing how to define or answer the question, why should I list with you or somebody else? Now it's going to be, why should I commit to having you be my exclusive buyer agency versus the billions of other agents that also want to have that same relationship with me? You're going to have to be able to explain to them why you're special, why you're unique. We have already done all that heavy lifting for you as part of Premier Coaching, and we're in the process of really updating the buyer presentation as well. And we talked about this a couple days ago, but here's how your business how you should consider having your business work. You come across a new buyer. It's a buyer that has been pre-qualified, great buyer, has the highest levels of motivation, been pre-qualified. This is someone you want to actually have as your buyer. You're going to have them sign an exclusive buyer agency contract. That same buyer is probably being romanced by 10 other agents. So why are they going to choose you over those other agents? Many of you don't have an answer, right? By the way, you don't have a relationship with this buyer. They're not a center of influence. They're not a past client. So this is somebody you maybe met at an open house. You guys get the idea? You're going to have to learn how to compete. Well, that's where your unique selling propositions come in. And we've done the work for you. Man, one of the things we're going to coach you guys to know how to do is show your communications guarantee. How about this? Mr. Buyer, here's what we're going to do. If they're not, a lot of buyers are going to be apprehensive about signing an exclusive with you until they've actually decided whether they like you and want to work with you. So after you sit down with them and you've shown them your formalized presentation, which we give you as part of Premier Coaching, still at that point, some of you aren't going to feel comfortable asking for it. That's a skills thing. Or the buyer is going to be a little apprehensive. So you're going to get them to sign an agreement that you're going to work with them one time to show them maybe 2 or 3 houses or one house. It's just for that one day. It's going to be limited for 24 hours or whatever. Then after that, if they want to keep working with you, then they're going to have to sign something that's going to be for maybe 3 months or 6 months or whatever. But so there's a little strategy for you that we're going to coach you guys how to do. We're going to map all this out in Premier Coaching, but I'm going to give you another level to this. One of the things that everyone's going to have to get real comfortable doing is something we've coached our agents to do forever. Now, agents generally don't like what I'm about to say because it holds them accountable all the time. In other words, they can't just romance that buyer or the seller, get the contract signed, and then drop the ball and not service that seller. So what we're going to ask you guys to consider doing as far as your buyer presentation and part of your pre-buyer package is what we're probably going to call it, is you're going to have something in there that's called, in essence, the easy exit listing or the easy exit buyer agency contract. So Mr. Buyer, here's the thing. If for any reason you're not 100% satisfied with the services I'm providing for you as your exclusive buyer's agent, you can actually fire me with no strings attached. And I'm the only one in the community, as far as I know, that's offering this, but that's how confident I am that you're going to be thrilled with the fact that you've chosen me to be your exclusive buyer agency. Now, you're going to have carve-outs if you're going to exclude any of the properties you personally introduced them to and things like that. But that and a whole bunch of other things are going to be the answer to the question about why they should work exclusively with you. We've been coaching listing agents and our buyer's agents to operate this way for decades. Now, all of you are going to be forced to because of the change of the law. And if you're not open, if you don't have your mind open to what I'm talking about, if you don't know what I'm talking about, go back and listen to past podcasts. Julie and I have talked about that topic, with regards to the fact that everyone's going to have to use exclusive buyer agency contracts infinitum.
Yes, with more to come, I'm sure. Yes, and by the way, now that you understand what a unique selling proposition is, check yourself. It can't sound like everyone else's. Because when I test agents, I do this often, and the coaches do this often in Premier, putting the agent on the spot. You can do this right now. What is your unique selling proposition? Why would I choose you versus somebody else? And one of two things usually happens. Silence. It's crickets because they're kind of tongue-tied in their head, not knowing what to say. Or it sounds like everyone else. Well, I'll put you in my drip system. Okay, so does everybody else. I'll search for you every day. Everybody else says that. I have a list of, buyers or sellers that I can match with your property. Everybody talks about that. Not the communications guarantee, not the buyer happiness guarantee, not the 20 things that you do other than the MLS. Those are unique to you.
It's even worse than that, Julie. They're going to try to avoid those accountability style questions by talking about how they're connected socially. Oh, I'm involved in this charity and that charity, and here's a picture of me and my golden retriever. They're going to try to essentially hit them with a lot of amiable messaging.
But how does that, benefit me, the buyer?
To try to fake friend them. That's what a lot of buyer agents are going to do. They're going to try to fake friend them. Oh, we're best friends. It's like we've known each other forever. That's not going to work in this marketplace because your competitors are going to have very drilled down, unique selling propositions that are going to deliver overwhelming value to that prospective buyer or obviously that seller on the listing side of things. That if you don't, you're going to be obsoleted. If you're worried about AI, don't worry about AI. Worry about your complacency not adapting to the new rules of this new market. Next point, Julie.
Next point, number 7, get into momentum and stay there. You've used the treasure map if you listened to yesterday's show, and you can do it today too, the treasure map, your business plan. Now you understand lead generation, set specific financial goals, know your magic number, and create your daily schedule. Now, again, we're talking about making $1 million or $1 million plus. You do have to do the work. Drill down and do the work. Focus stands for follow one course until successful. You can't skip the work. All right, point number 8. Track everything using your visual accountability whiteboards that you get in your Premier coaching program.
Well, you don't get the boards. You get the you get the visualizations, how to create the boards. But Julie, let's talk about the importance of having these dry erase boards.
Yes. Okay. You said something yesterday, which I loved, that your CRM is where your leads go to die, right? So where do your leads go to live? Onto your whiteboards. Your CRM is simply a database of contacts. It's not everybody in there is a lead. That's where agents get screwed up in their head. Using visual accountability, where you're looking at your whiteboards every single day in a specific way that we coach you to do it that is highly effective, that's where your leads live. That's where your leads then become either a listing or a signed buyer. Then they become a pending, and then they become a closed.
I want you to think about what I'm about to share with you. So I'm on Instagram the other day. There's a coach that's joining with Julie and I at eXp Realty, and he asked me to look at some of his Instagram posts, and I'm looking at what he's essentially trying to market on Instagram to attract agents to want to be coached by him. Hopefully you guys following along with what I just said. Well, so I came across this post, and it was a video of him presenting why to use BombBomb, a video, why to do all this other stuff. And I watched it, and it was long and it was complicated. It was like 4 steps. You're going to generate the lead. You're probably going to use Facebook marketing or Google pay-per-click, or you're going to buy the lead from Zillow or whatever. And then you're going to drip these pre-made videos on them. Oh, and you're going to personalize them, and you're going to put them in your CRM, and you're going to do all these things. And I was thinking to myself as I was watching this video, if I were an agent, a new agent, or even a seasoned agent, and I were trying to follow along with all the things he's saying, my brain is completely fuzzing out because there is too much detail. But what isn't also disclosed is the expense of doing all those damn things. The videos, the this and the other things. Not just the financial expense of paying for those third-party systems, but the expense of your time. Then I asked him this question. I said, so let me ask you. I thought, obviously we knew what the system was. It's been around forever that he was, prescribing to agents on his Instagram feed. And I said, why don't you instead tell your prospective coaching clients, your coaching clients, to generate the lead and call the buyer and pre-qualify them, and then set the appointment, and then present to them, send the buyer pack, get them to sign the exclusive, and then sell them a house. Why go through all this long, drawn-out process of dripping on them and spending all this money and this time and this anguish? And he said, well, it's because then he explained to me, and of course I've heard all this before, there's A leads, there's B leads, and there's C leads. And the drip campaigns are for the B leads and the C leads, or I'm going to teach the agents to drip on them until they become A leads. To which I said, okay, well, that makes sense, but here's the problem. Every single study that's ever been done on long-term lead follow-up with CRMs has proven that it is basically not worth doing. Because why? If someone's a B lead or a C lead, you're thinking that they're going to become an A lead, and rarely do they. If someone's a B lead or a C lead and you're dripping on them, do you really think you're the only one dripping on them? You're not. You and every other agent in the community are also sending them these nice little messages, probably following the same little system, sending them little videos and the rest of it. To which Julie and I said, here's what you should maybe consider prescribing to your coaching clients. Tell them to pick up the phone, do the pre-qualification, and if they're not essentially meeting the very high standards you have with all your prospective buyers or sellers, you frankly don't work with them. Now, why would you want to do that? Because your goal is not to have thousands or even dozens of leads. Your goal is to have the fewest number of leads that are pre-qualified to the highest standards. The idea of creating a bunch of leads thinking that you're going to play the numbers game and some of those leads are going to raise their hand and do business with you is an act of futility, because it's covering up the great leads. Go and call, if you're in a system now, or if you had the mindset or got bad information about forming these big databases like we talked about yesterday, go and call every single one of those leads and use our pre-qualifying script, pull out the best ones, and then give yourself permission to let those other ones go, because they're probably never going to transact with you because they're talking to 10 other agents. Pull out the best ones. Now, that scares the crap out of a lot of you because you're going to not have a lot of leads. And that's good, because those are the leads that are actually going to transact with you, and you remove that nice, comfortable, false sense of security. You're walking around this comforter on all the time that, oh, I have all these leads. They're going to raise their hand to do business with me. If you're willing to accept the fact that they're probably not, then all of a sudden you feel insecure because you don't have that false sense of security. That's where I want you to be, because that's going to force you to pre-qualify every one of your leads at the highest level and get you in the process of knowing that every single day you have to be always out there hunting for new high-quality leads. That's what this new market demands.
It is absolutely a demonstration of what it takes to make $1 million plus. I'm going to highlight one of my Fort Worth, Texas coaching clients. She is absolutely on track to make maybe more than $1 million this year with her, a part-time assistant, and her husband also has little kids. Okay. Now, what makes Kristen on track to do this? She does point number 8. She tracks everything. She sends this to me. She has so many leads. We're now off the whiteboard and doing her version of, she takes the picture of the whiteboard. She sends that to me before coaching calls. Here's what she does. Okay. She can tell me on every single lead, and these are real leads. These are not just her database. She can tell me, are they pre-qualified? Yes or no. Are they financed? Yes or no. If they're cash, where's the cash coming from? What is their time frame? Are they a buyer or are they a seller? And what exactly are they looking for? And I'll tell you what the interesting outcome of this has been. Because she's so proactive, actually picking up the phone, actually going to their house and meeting with them, she now, her whiteboards are more of a matchmaking thing, because now she knows what everybody's looking for. She has several transactions all the time, no matter what day I talk to her, where she says, yep, I've already got a buyer for that because I talked to that person last month and they said they wanted a lake property, so I'm going to make the match.
Your coaching client, Patrick Murphy in Columbus, Ohio.
That's another great example.
Well, so he has, you're coaching him to have fewer leads that are really high quality leads.
Correct.
And giving himself permission to only, just essentially and I understand if you feel this massive pang of insecurity only having a dozen leads or 10 leads, but all those leads are ready to buy and sell. All those leads are, committed to you. All of them have signed exclusive contracts or listing contracts with you. Wouldn't you rather have that than dozens and dozens of unqualified, unmotivated, uncommitted leads? Of course you would.
That's security.
But you have to have the skills to know how to get those people to essentially know which ones are the wheat from the chaff and then get them to commit to you. That's what the whiteboards are about. So when you have a whiteboard, you put it on the wall. You have your leads up on the wall like Julie just described. Those are people that have been through the gauntlet and have proven them willingness to actually transact following your rules and have committed exclusively to you. That's visual accountability.
Yes, and it is it's much more timely to walk into your office and see, like Patrick's a great example too, because he has a database, he's got a CRM. There's between 125 and 150 people in it at all times because he's always updating it, upgrading it, right? He doesn't call those his leads. His whiteboard says he has between 20 and 30 people who are either buyers or sellers who have been through the pre-qualification. He can tell you absolutely everything about them. And those are the people who then will stop being a lead. He'll erase those from the leads board. He'll put those over in the pendings or in the active listings. The thing about the visual accountability in the whiteboards is you can't hide out from it. They literally tell you what you need to be doing. So right now, Patrick, for example, is very buyer heavy. The white part of his listing board is where he needs to be drilling down, doing the work. Yes, of course, he's going to get the buyers in contract. But when you walk into your office and he's supposed to have 5 actives at all times and he's got 1, well, it's obvious what we need to be doing, right?
So we, in a market like this, maybe in the previous market, you maybe had to have 5 leads to generate 3 sales, but now you probably have, you have to have like 5 people that start, you have to generate 5 leads to have 3 sales in the previous market. Back when there was FOMO, interest rates were really low, everyone had fear of missing out. Now you have to have probably realistically 20 to 25 conversations to have 3 to 5 really rock star level leads. But you're going to have to learn to ask the tough questions. And I know this is counterintuitive, and don't take this literally, it's just a mindset. Look for reasons to disqualify them as being one of your clients. Look for the things, trust your intuition. Look for the reasons why you do not want to give them your time, right? Look for, they haven't been to a lender. Well, that should, for most of you, should be reason enough not to give them a priority status. But if that is the buyer you're working with, the buyer that has not even been willing to have a conversation with the lender about their ability to buy a house, for example, why are you giving them your time? You do not get your time back. And that's time you could have been spending, frankly, chasing a really good quality, high quality lead. That's what a market like this is all about. They're out there, but you guys have been seduced into believing that you win with numbers, and you don't. You win with fewer numbers of high quality people. That's how you win in this game, in this market.
Fewer numbers. That's right. Not more. Okay.
Which is weird to say, but it's true.
It is true. It's interesting, isn't it? All right, number 9, be relentless with lead generation, furiously fast lead follow-up, pre-qualifying, presenting, negotiating, and closing. I'll do that again quickly. You can memorize this when you think of it in order. Everybody starts out as a lead, so lead generation is first. That leads to furiously fast lead follow-up, which then, what Tim's been drilling down on a lot on these podcasts, you've got to pre-qualify using pre-qualification scripts. Then you present, negotiate, and close. Lather, rinse, repeat. But your number one job in real estate is to generate new business consistently while still providing the best experience to your existing clients. This is the most critical skill to perfect, or you will never, ever earn a 7-figure income. Maybe not even half of that. You've got to do this list. All of my coaching clients, 100% of my elite coaching clients, have that list on their wall. And if it is not on that list, they're not allowed to be doing it.
By the way, the funnel for working with buyers is that Julie just gave you what our traditional funnel was with when approaching sellers. It's going to be the same thing. Now that you have to have a formalized relationship and contract with buyers, it's going to be the exact same process. We're just going to mirror it at a higher level. And we talked about that yesterday, how we're going to create a digital presentation for all you guys with an AI that's going to actually present. Someone actually messaged me on Instagram. You guys can follow us over on Instagram, Tim and Julie Harris. That they wanted to have their AI be themselves. And you know what? I think we're going to make that possible. Cool. So you're going to have your AI is actually going to be you in your voice presenting the pages of the pre-listing pack. And some of you, a couple of people messaged me that they want to make sure that they can change the ethnicity in addition to the language. That's the easy part. Sure. To be frank. From what I've learned from these AI companies, we can do that quite simply. So
I'm super excited about that.
Oh, me too.
That's going to be the best thing ever.
Well, yeah, but we're not going to rush to market with this product. We're going to make it really, really good. So it's probably not going to come in third or fourth quarter of this year, maybe not even first quarter of the following year. Like I said, we're going to get it really right. And it is kind of funny that this sounds terrible, but I'm going to tell listeners what I think. Julie and I have been early to market on a lot of our, I think, revolutionary, if not evolutionary products over the last 20 years. And every single time we've done it, we've had all kinds of people rip us off and copy us. It's happened with short sale. It happened with all these other things that we've created, and we're not going to do it again. So what we are doing is all of our content is copywritten. All of our content is trademarked. We're going to give a license agreement for people that are Premier Coaching clients to use the content. but we're not going to rush to market. And you're going to notice that hardly, and I'm already seeing it, when another coach is asked, what is it that an agent should be doing right now to show their value? They don't have an answer because they don't have an answer. They're not trying to be, they're not trying to play their cards close to their chest. They literally don't know how to help their buyer, how to help their agents create unique selling propositions to work with buyers. Well, we do, and we're not going, and Premier Coaching clients, you have access to a lot of that information now, but we're not going to do our competitors' work for us. And think about that from a competitive perspective in your own communities as well. Your competitors are going to see that when you're using our material that you are going to all of a sudden win at a higher level than you ever have before. And you do want to keep that kind of your own cards close to your chest.
Don't put it on YouTube, please.
Yeah, don't put it on YouTube. Don't let anyone, don't show off at your next office meeting your new pre-listing pack or your new buyer pack. Everyone's just going to copy you, and they'll do it poorly because they're not going to have been coached and trained by us probably, unless they actually are coaching clients. So be strategic and use this this chasm in knowledge that's in the marketplace, because that is what it is. It's an opportunity. Remember, the greatest fortunes of men and women have always been made during the greatest times of change, and we're in one of those times now. So use that time to get the most advantage you possibly can and be strategic. Point number 10.
Point number 10, I'm going to present this, and then you're going to walk them quickly through the spokes in the wheel model. And that is point number 10, follow the spokes in the wheel model. There is no silver bullet or easy button to lead generation. There is no one thing that if you just do that, the world will rain leads on you. You have to have multiple spokes in your wheel. You're going to create your wheel and include both proactive and passive spokes, but lead with the proactive since it's much more predictable and duplicatable. Proactive is speaking with people directly, voice to voice or face to face, concentrating on the most likely to list categories. Passive spokes are speculative, not face to face or voice to voice, things like drip system, direct mail, and social media.
So simple, spokes in the wheel. In your mind or on a piece of paper, draw a big circle and then draw a little tiny spoke in the center of the wheel. You're going to be creating a little center hub, a smaller circle. And every spoke on the wheel essentially represents more integrity of your business. Integrity in the sense that the wheel has more strength. So if you have a bicycle wheel and you're rolling down the street and the bicycle wheel has one spindly spoke and you hit even the smallest pebble in the road, what's going to happen? The wheel's going to collapse, right? Well, that's what's happening right now to a lot of agents' businesses, especially agents who've been buying their leads from places like Zillow. Your businesses are collapsing. Zillow is charging more money. There's commission compression. And now there's this, what are we going to do about the new exclusive buyer agency contracts? All these things. So a lot of agents who built their businesses on one major source of business are learning the lesson the hard way that you never build a mansion on land you do not own. You never build your business on, essentially systems that you cannot control. So your spokes in the wheel, start with the spokes. Those are the ones you can control. Those are the ones that are going to be you on the phone, you belly to belly. Those are the most powerful ones. So that would be centers of influence and past clients. A good spoke on the wheel would also be door knocking, frankly, because you can control that and it doesn't cost anything. And then you want to obviously then roll in some more skills-based things. That's going to be working directly with unrepresented owners, aka for sale by owners, expired listings, all the different sources of leads we teach you how to proactively pursue in Premier Coaching. That's how you build it out. Now, here's a trick. Do not move from one spoke to the other until you've had it mastered. Don't just get okay at, say, for example, working with expireds and decide, well, I now have got expireds good enough. Now I'm going to move off to FSBOs. You actually, and I shouldn't say this because it's against what I just said, but it is the truth. You can actually build a really strong business with maybe 2 or 3 spokes, centers of influence and past clients, and working with expireds, and maybe something that's going to be passive. And maybe it's going to be a social community type thing that you're involved in. And that's going to be dependent on what your expectations are for how many units you're going to sell, how much money you're going to make. But as an agent with, say, a team of 5 or less, you can actually kick some serious ass if you're willing to do the proactive lead generation. The key is you have to do the real work. You're going to have to pick up the phone. You're going to have to actually go out there and have those direct communications with people and not be overly reliant on the passive stuff. Now, if you want to do the passive stuff, the social media, the drip campaigns, do not do that with the expectation that it's going to replace the proactive stuff. In a market like this, in a world like this, people want analog communication. They want to see you. They want to talk to you. And while all your competitors have been seduced into believing they can do all of these things passively, you will have a competitive advantage when you do things proactively. Doesn't that intuitively make sense, Julie?
It absolutely does. And I have to highlight one thing you said about your primary spoke being your past client center of influence, aka your database. You have to recognize, because many of you do have that as a primary spoke, and you did very well in especially 21 and 22 with that. That spoke, through no fault of your own, has become a bit weaker. And that's because some of those transactions that you did in those hot years were stolen from future years. And that puts more pressure on you to be extra good at that and to expand that spoke, the new people in your sphere, but also to add, to your point, making your wheel more integrity, right? You've got to have more spokes than you had to before, because more than 50% of your people in your database have already either refinanced or purchased recently.
Well, not just more spokes, Jill. You have to be generating new leads every single day. Your job is essentially effectively, your mission is to make as many new relationships as you can on a regular basis. Meeting new people, having, essentially being able to offer your services with a lot of pride and excitement because you have your unique selling propositions, you have your pre-listing pack or your pre-buyer pack. You're excited to go out in the marketplace and show why all the folks should be doing business with you. Your mindset should be, when you see a for sale a sign with a competitor's name on it, and you need to think to yourself, why didn't I get that listing? Don't think, well, they must have known him, or they knew him from church, or they had some sort of community tie-in or whatever. Don't make excuses for you not having the mindset that you should be dominant in your marketplace, however big that market is and wherever it is.
100%.
Be of the mindset that it's an unlimited opportunity for you if you're willing to do the work. And if you're not getting out of the marketplace and out of your business what you want, it's probably because you're not putting in enough effort, or the efforts you're putting in aren't going to be the ones that lead directly to helping somebody and making money.
Remember, if it's meant to be, it's up to me, right? So point number 11, last point of today, be absolutely listing focused. Why? Because listings drive everything. Buyers drive one transaction at a time, and only sometimes. Know your magic number. Again, that's the number of listings you have to have at all times to meet or exceed your monthly goals, and relentlessly maintain or grow it. It's the engine that fuels your business. And remember this, guys, especially if you're in a market where there is more inventory, and that's starting to hit hard this time of year, right? So many of you had a magic number. I'm talking mostly coaching clients because you know what the magic number is, where it was like, if you wanted to sell 3 homes this month, you had to have 3 listings that all sell instantaneously with multiple offers. You could take it to the bank next month, you're set. Well, now with more inventory, naturally your magic number goes up. To sell those same 3 houses month in and month out predictably, now you're going to need maybe 5, maybe 7 actives at all times. You're going to have to communicate more regularly with those sellers, get used to having longer days on the market, maybe do a price reduction to make it to the finish line. But you have to raise your personal inventory in order to do the same that you did, if not more.
More inventory, price reductions, all these things. You want to hear all those things. The mainstream media is trying to paint the market undulations as a bad thing. As a opportunistically focused real estate entrepreneur, when you hear about price reductions, when you hear about more inventory, you need to get excited, because what that does is it creates excitement in the buyers' hearts. And then the buyers, some of them have houses to sell, that creates more inventory. And also, if the market starts to slow down, it's going to put pressure on the Fed to lower interest rates. And then you're going to have a scenario where you're going to have lower interest rates, more inventory, and that's obviously going to lead to a lot of real estate transactions. So don't be allowing your mind and your potential to be nullified by essentially all the negativity that's out there. Do yourself a favor, focus on what your highest and truest purpose on this planet is, which is to be of service to other people. And by the way, when you're of service to enough other people, you're going to have lots of profit from your business. You're not going to make $1 million. You're going to make many, 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 many millions of dollars over many, many years, and you will become rich where your money works for you and you no longer have to work for your money. Seize the opportunity that this market is presenting to you. And frankly, I think most of you, if you're listening to what we say with an open mind, should be excited, because every single thing we ask you to do in Premier Coaching does not require a degree in engineering from MIT to put it all together. It's basic communication skills. We give you the scripts. We tell you what to say. We tell you how to say it. Now you just got to go out there and take action. Thank you for keeping this #1 listen to daily podcast for real estate professionals in at least the United States. Please do the next Best thing for yourself and for us, help us get the word out about this podcast. Help us improve all the agents in the nation so the next co-op you do is with a professional agent like you're becoming or already are. Give us a 5-star review over on iTunes, and please do leave a comment why you love the podcast. It means a lot to us. Help us get the word out about the fact that this is probably going to be looked upon in the rearview mirror of the folks that keep track of the history of real estate as being one of the best times to be in real estate because of the opportunity that this market is presenting to all of you. Seize the opportunity. You're in the right place at the right time. Now take the right actions. Have a fantastic day.